Now I wasn't going to do a video on either of these gods because when I heard they were getting a rework, I was like, okay, like they're not going to do the same thing with Freya, they've learned their lesson. An idea I talked about in my Freya rework video was this easy to play, hard to balance kind of idea, but clearly I didn't talk about it in enough detail because some of the scholars over at Reddit did not get the concept. Apparently Freya's basics are hard to hit, but don't worry, he has had some I don't think so. Some success building Stone of Gaia on her. Okay. But clearly what she needs is a passive that gives her either health or protections on an ADC mage. Or maybe just a queen-size passive, eh? Because that's never led to any problems with balancing ever. Don't think so. Can't think of one. And another gentleman came along and said, no, you're just bad at Freya. Learn to play the game. Shut up, winky face. Like I was talking about how easy she was to play. Like, I should have shaved. Fuck. Now I'm bringing this up because both Odin and Bastet have this exact same issue where their kits are just too easy to play. As Odin, you press 2 and you jump on someone and they die, and that's about it. It's not hard. And in late game he's just a walking 4 because he doesn't do any damage anymore. And as Bastet, you jump on someone and then you use your 2, which you can't miss, and then your 3, and then you press 1 again. Oh, and sometimes you press 4 and then cats just do stuff. You just kind of watch. It's not fun, is it? It's boring to play and it's frustrating to play against because you can't really do much about it as you can with other gods. In these lower level games when most people will be missing abilities more often than hitting them, you play a god like Bastet or Odin or Freya or Susanoo, for example, then you're hitting a lot more than you normally would. And that means those gods kind of end up stomping in these casual lower ranked game modes. And when that happens, Tyres usually just nerf their damage. That's their go-to when that kind of situation happens. But now they're doing less damage than gods that require skill to land their abilities. And that means in professional and competitive Smite, they're not worth picking. Because you back yourself to hit those harder to hit abilities and therefore do more damage. So you wouldn't bother with something that does less damage, would you? These gods can't just be fixed with stat tweaks. So when Hi-Rez actually announced they were reworking both of them, I was stoked. Like, they know that making gods more brain-dead, easy to play doesn't work now when they're reworking them. And I was reading the Odin post like, yes, they understand that the design is the root of his issues. They're highlighting how he overperforms in casual game modes and falls off in ranked and competitive games. And how he doesn't get picked in tier lists for these higher ranking game modes. Even the community is saying all of this and they're acknowledging it. He needs more lore accurate abilities and stuff that uses his spear and runes. Cool, okay, let's add that in. Something, sure. So they're reworking his 3, the only ability where he uses his spear, and they're slightly tweaking his ult. They're making his 3 a big AoE physical circle that damages all enemies in an area up to 3 times, and he gets a homing ability on a warrior, or a stun if he waits longer. I would love for someone who worked on this to explain to me how they got to this conclusion that this was the answer. Like, on either in the comments, Reddit, Twitter, I don't care, just please explain this to me. At least the changes to his ult were good. But you clearly understand that his core playstyle and design elements were bad, and you have the stats that back this up. But then a couple paragraphs later you're saying that you're not going to change any of his core playstyle or design elements. Like, but he needs a rework because of his unique features. What other possible reason could there be to rework a god if it wasn't for what makes the god specifically them? Instead you removed his least problematic ability and apparently his most lore accurate one, and replaced it with what might be the dumbest ability I've ever seen. Up until that point, because But at least on Freya's failed kit you had to hit one basic, either on them or on someone around them to damage them. Like, that was pretty dumb. No, let's give a warrior who is already too easy to play a homing ability. Everyone loves those. God. Once again, I thought they made the worst rework possible, and once again they proved me wrong, because a couple days later they released the Bastet rework post and they said pretty much the same things. Her stats don't line up, the community doesn't like her kit's too boring and too easy to play. Okay, heard you loud and clear, we're going to remove her only ability that required aiming and replace it with her ult, but also it's a stun now. And her new ult makes everything easier to hit and do more damage. You literally said that you don't want her kit to be oriented around jumping in, pressing a couple buttons, and jumping out. Like you literally said that was specifically her problem. And then you're saying that you're not going to change any of that at all. In fact, you're going to double down on it and make it even easier to play and more boring. Why would people want to rework on a specific god if they liked her specific playstyle and abilities? That's just not why people want reworks. No, let's just make all her giant physical AoE abilities bigger and easier to hit and do more damage. God. How on earth could anyone think this is a good idea? Gods aren't fun to play if you can't miss anything. If there's no satisfaction when you succeed because you can't fail, why would you even bother playing the game? There's no point. Let's just play a bloody tapper, whatever. And you're doubling down on the pets as well. Like, how out of touch are the people who are making these gods? We know pets don't work on any god. This is actually the second time that her cats have gotten new mechanics. Calder's mechanics and ones directly linked from Skadi's ult have been changed 3 times. Nuar's clay minions have also had their mechanics changed 3 times. Araki's actually had 5 changes to her spiders mechanically wise, not stat wise, just like the physical mechanics of how these abilities work. Arcus has already had changes to his mechanics and he came out like this year, well last year, it's 2020. And Nene has had 2 changes to his mechanics. Overall, that's 21 stat changes and 16 mechanical changes to pet abilities on these gods. And how many of them have ever been in a well-balanced state like ever? They're either dominating the meta or they're bottom tier at any given stage. Gods being too easy is clearly an issue. We have the numbers to back this up. I'm not going to bother to offer any ideas or different ability changes for either of these gods because, I mean, pretty much anything would be better. Like anything at all. It almost seems like they don't actually know what to do, so they just add some gimmicky new stuff to make people want to play them. And then they just wrote some crap about why they're doing this, so it makes it sound like they know what they're doing and there's actually like logic behind the changes, when clearly there is just nothing. Please just change the parts of their kits that cause the issues, even if it means changing their identity. Clearly what makes them unique doesn't work, and doubling down on these features is just going to make it worse. So that's the video. I mean, it's a red shirt because I'm angry. And I should have shaved, as I said. That's the gist of me in the video. I'm gonna go hang myself before they give Loki an execute. Like, seriously, no.